All right, everyone. Super excited for the podcast today. Today, we have a good friend of mine, Justin Norris, coming on and speaking with us. I know everyone's going to miss not having Nicole. We're going to be bringing on some guests from time to time. It's going to be bringing in a lot more value to the podcast. But Justin has a huge background in our industry. He is a regional manager at CEPRA. His location does over 15 million in sales a year. And then he has also got a new venture, the home coffee brand. Justin, so happy to have you on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's always a pleasure talking with you, man. I said I learned just as much from you as I do talking to your people. So I'm enjoying it.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate that. Well, we just had you at the training day as one of the people speaking there, and that was awesome. And a lot of those people were in GROW Comm. And as of the recording of this, GROW Comm opens today for just a few days, and that's a lot of the people from GROW Comm were at the event that you spoke at, and that's a very exciting group with a lot of young in the industry entrepreneurs and people that have been in it for a while wanting to grow their landscape company. And we have people that are in lawn and landscape all the way to signs to really any kind of business. So, but let's get on past that. Tell me a little bit about this new venture. Let's talk about home coffee brand a little bit.
Yeah, man. So as a majority of us are trying to do, we're always trying to figure out how we can level up and do certain things and teach our kids how to do certain things. Right. So my kids are now 4 and 8, and it's like, how do you teach them how to grow up with the right passion, the right stuff I wish I would have learned until I was getting closer to 40. So we said let's start a business, and my wife and I have both been going back and forth for 2 years. What do we want to do? Do we want to do some real estate? No, I suck at that. Do we want to do some of this? No, that doesn't interest me. And somehow coffee just clicked, and I had no idea how to pour a shot, make a drip coffee, nothing. Then we just dove all in, man. My wife got into the barista class. I got into the roasting side of it, and it's just been a blast. And it's been fun. It's fun to get out in the community and just be able to serve a product from start to finish, just like our landscape. I tell people, we go out there, we buy the plants, we put them in, we see a smile on the face. Same thing with the coffee. Like, you roast the coffee, you serve it, you see a smile on the face. So it's that same industry, and it's two totally different products, but it's the same feeling you get at the end of it. And it's just so fun. And it's, to me, it keeps the brain exercising 7 days a week. When I shut this off on Friday, I don't go home and get a little frustrated still and start Monday mad. No, I start a whole nother venture on Saturday and Sunday with my wife and kids, and it's a blast. And, I come in Monday refreshed now, and it's, most people are, how do you do it? How you so burned out and all this? I'm like, do that or watch Netflix. What are you going to do? So I'm going to keep my brain going. Yeah. So no, it's been fun, man. I can't wait to blow it up.
How long have you been doing that now?
So I just looked this morning. We went live October. We started in August, like the idea, and just went, I like everything I do, like just balls the wall right into it. And you'd think we were a couple of years into it, but no, we're fresh into it.
That's really, really cool. And what made it, I know that you had the want and desire to show your kids like running a business and create this thing with them. But what made you want to go towards coffee?
We're in Lion's Den. There was a couple group members in there that roast, Jen and Nate. And I think that I just clicked with me, always meeting with them, how fun they had doing it. And I was like, let's just kind of dive into this. We did some drop shipping with them. They were very helpful. And then once you started going down the rabbit hole of it, coffee is such a cool industry. And again, it just kept relating to me like landscape. There's farmers involved, right? Like, you got to work with the farmers for the beans, just like we go to the nurseries. And it was just, it clicks so much to the current just industry we're in right now. And I remember one day I was working out in the morning, and I looked down at my trash can. It was full of C4s, and I was like, that can't be good. I got to find another way to fix my life and energy. So that between both those kind of helped a little bit with that.
Yeah, I really love coffee, and I bought some of your coffee, and I want more of your coffee. And I really appreciate, I see so many people. It's always one of my big frustrations about coffee. The way my wife drinks coffee is one of my frustrations. There's so much milk and creamer and stuff that it's like, you can buy just straight cappuccino. I like black coffee because here's my coffee snob opinion. It's the only way to truly tell if it's good coffee or not, because once you put a bunch of stuff in it, it all just tastes sugary and the same to me.
There's a coffee for everybody. So what, you want sugar, go for it. You want this, but just try it before you do it. And it's so cool because when you actually take yourself out of commodity coffee and you go to real farmers, you can actually roast the flavor into it instead of having to fake artificially do it. So to me, that's the cool part. People don't know that. And that's trying to grow that industry. But yeah, that's awesome, man.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, so from there, let's talk a little bit more about CEPRA and your role there. Tell us a little bit about what your role looks like.
There's a bunch of us that have worked together for a very long time in the landscape industry, and we came from a large company that I won't mention, but we had a really good time working together. We just built this culture together, 17 years ago. And when that company did, as most are right now, sold to an investor, we said, we don't want to be a part of that. We want to go back take care of the customer. So CEPRA started about 9 years ago. I joined the team 5 years ago to this date, and I knew I wanted to be part of the team again. And there was a good opportunity for me to open up some stuff on the West Coast of Florida, which I'm very familiar with. And I started, man, it was no work. I was the guy on the crew leader truck, also running the FERT spreader, changing the irrigation heads to typing emails and proposals at night, and I wouldn't change it any other way. And so we grew this up in the last 5 years to the 15 million, and grew some really fun people on the team up to about 160 now in our region. And it's awesome. Just a fun culture, man. We have offices all over the state, and whatever office you go to, it's that same culture. And I said that when I came to your office, like you get that feeling when you walk into your office, like, and you know what it's about. You get that culture, you don't want to leave it.
I mean, culture is definitely everything. We spent a lot of time talking about that at training day, and cultivating that and making sure that stays that direction, because that's the good feeling. Like what you just said, that's what everybody gets, and that's what brings people in and keeps them, and then makes them want to bring more people in. What I will mention, though, as we're saying this, I heard you say it, and I have butchered the name by calling it CEPRA. So it is CEPRA.
CEPRA Landscape, yeah.
Okay.
I've heard zebra, everything. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Like the owner is actually my buddy and old co-manager of mine. Started the business and started, and it's got an acronym. It's customers, employees, product, reputation, and advancement. I always thought that was really cool. So to me, just knowing the acronym is more important than how to say it. But I thought that, yeah, trust me, everybody butchers it.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I got my last name. You'd think Godar is pretty easy. But
yeah.
With racing motorcycles, I've heard it come across the announcer's speaker every other way, and I think that's just common. People just make an assumption and roll with it. But well, that's really cool. I hadn't heard the part that it was an acronym yet. Say that one more time.
When we developed the name CEPRA, we wanted it to mean something, and it goes back to what's the most important thing in landscape or any industry. It's your people and your customers and doing the product. So C is customers, right? That was number one for us. Employees. Yeah. Right there up at the top, product, reputation, and advancement.
That is really, really cool. See, that's why I love sitting down and talking with people, because I know you, I've talked to you, you were here at training day, we spent time together, and you learn something interesting all the time, I would have never guessed that was what that was. What got you into the landscape industry originally?
I got out of college in 2009, right when the market crashed, and there wasn't a lot of jobs out there. My dad was a subcontractor, so always working with his hands. I know I didn't want to work on houses, but I was not going to work inside. And so I met with my recruiter at the time, and I said, I just want to work outside, get me something. I knew, again, didn't even know how to push mow a lawn correctly, edge it, anything, and got out with the company we were part of, and did my internship, started off in an edger right out of college, and just grew with the industry and loved it, man. I mean, it kind of goes back to the same thing. I get to go out and create a product and talk to the customer and see it to the finish. And even in the position I'm in now, like, it's every day, it's something different. Like I could be helping with a mainline pump tomorrow, or I could be solving a customer's issue the next day. I could be working with a mechanic on a preventative maintenance program the next day. So it's just a fun industry.
From when you got into the industry, how many years did you spend in more of a tech position before you kind of moved up into more of a management position? Because there's a lot of people, crazy thing that I've just seen from employing people. I've crushed a lot of employees because I want to give them all this. I want to give them more money, and I want to push them up the ladder really fast. And then what we inevitably realize is I wanted that for them, but they didn't really ask for it, and they didn't actually want it themselves, kind of thing. And because so much responsibility comes with that. So what did that timeline look like from you being a tech in the field to being more in some kind of management position?
Yeah, man, and I want to hit a little bit more on that, because that was perfect. You brought that up. I learned a lot on that the last 2 years. But I started off right in 2009. I was a crew leader for about a year, then got moved up pretty quickly. Actually, about 6 months I was a crew leader, got moved up pretty quickly. It was kind of like the same thing I did here. I was a production manager / ran my crew / irrigation tech. One of my owners that I work with right now has been very good about learning how to teach you hands off. And so it was like, go out in the field and learn it on this small project and figure it out. And I've kind of done that along the way. So I'd say tech level, crew leader level for a year, production manager for a year, then kind of rolled an associate account manager, did it the right way, and took every kind of half step along, instead of, some of the newbies want to get out and they want to be a senior manager tomorrow.
Yeah.
That I'd say it took like that 2 to 3 year run, but you hit a point on the head. We did the same thing. We had an astronomical growth the last 2 or 3 years, and we were just plugging holes, right? Like guys weren't ready to be in the positions they were in. Like we were chucking managers in spots they weren't supposed to be in just yet. It'll lead to failure if you don't have that time to progressively learn those mistakes, because you can teach all you want in school, you can learn all you want in the field, but it's the experiences you get along the way. Like you've got to go fail to learn. And
Yeah.
if you don't have that timeline to fail, then you're setting yourself up, and we're doing them wrong because we're going to chuck them in a position they're going to fail hard at.
We talked a bunch about this when you were at training day, though, but like all this creating opportunity and bringing people on board and these things that I know that we really care about. And I think you get in such a mindset that you're like, who wouldn't want to level up fast and earn more money and take on that responsibility? I've even had it down to like, I've had somebody before at our company be like, not that he didn't think what I did was like cool or he didn't appreciate what I did, but he's like, I just wouldn't want your position. Like I couldn't have your amount of energy every day and bring that to meetings and do those things. And I think because I'm wired that way, I know you're wired to go, 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 go. I think you get in this habit of when you're wired that way, you assume anybody would want that, because I wouldn't say no to like any opportunity. You're like, oh, hey, you want to go do this? You want to go do that? You want to grow the company? You want all of these responsibilities? And be like, yeah, just put it on my shoulders. We'll figure it out. And I think it's so easy to take that into other people. And then all of a sudden you're loading them down with so much stuff in your mind. You're doing the best thing for them because you're like, I'm going to be able to pay you more and more and more and more. And all of a sudden you crush somebody. And then they hate the job and you don't understand why they're not performing. And all of a sudden you just button heads all the time.
Yeah. I think Andy Frisella says it all the time. Like there's times where, there's spots for every position, and like you need those A players, you need those B players, you need those C players. I think it was up until last year, so 15 years in the industry, I didn't learn until like I need to go interview my own employees and find out what they want. I assume they just want to be like me and make as much as they can and all that, but until I learn, like, okay, you know what, this guy's happy just being an account manager, making what he's making, working his 40 hours and going home and being with his family. Some people just don't want that crazy lifestyle we have. And once you do that and you put them in that box, it's like, okay, you know what, like, now I'm not mad at him all the time because like I was expecting more than he was going to want to do anyways. Now, once I know this box is in, he's killing it. Let me just leave him there and let him be happy. And let's go find that A player to put with him.
And so I was listening to Andy while I was working out in the gym, because I don't even listen to music anymore, really. I just listen to podcasts all the time. And we're kind of talking about this. And it's so funny that we're talking about we're nothing special, but Andy says it all the time, like entrepreneurs, you're talking 7 to 8%. And then 1% of that percentage is actually successful. And it's really funny just hearing him say, like, we're putting ourselves in this position. And even Andy is saying, and he's such a huge company. And he just was saying on today's podcast, he said, every day I come into work and I don't want to do this, or I'm frustrated, I've got these challenges that I don't want to deal with, but I do it anyway, because it's what I do, and because that's what he was kind of saying, his true success formula is his resilience and his perseverance overall. It's not, can he do anything good? He can just keep going and going and going. But
yeah, I think we're wired differently, man. I think you and I wake up and say, like, what problem do I get to solve today? It's going to suck, but I'm going to come out on the other end, like solving a problem. If we just had a normal day, I don't know if we'd like that day.
I look at my schedule today or even tomorrow. I've got a calendar block all the whole day. And I get like a little bit of anxiousness and anxiety over it. But at the same time, if it's really open, I'm just like driving, I'm nuts. I'm like, what do we do? I'm bored out of my mind. And it's nice to really cut through those hectic days where you've got all this stuff packed in. And I think for me anyway, I know that like the more I can get in and the more I can feel like I've accomplished during the day, the more accomplished I feel. I want to circle back to something we were talking about, because some of this, what we're talking about the crushing employees or giving them too much responsibility, ties into this. And you mentioned the feel of the culture here, and that you'd been in a company with good culture and you wanted to keep that going. What are some of the things that you guys have done to cultivate culture, to make that better in your company? Because I know so many people that are listening to this, or so many people that are in any service industry, but especially I've talked to so many business owners in the lawn and landscape industry. I've talked to them back home. Back in Illinois. I've talked to them here in Florida, and I'll hear them just act like, man, these employees are never, I pay them as much so much. And then they still, they just don't work out. It's never right. And it's like this story. And I can just hear them spewing in this conversation how bad their culture is. And usually they're the cause of it. And I'm not the one that's going to say that. I'm just like listening to this and taking it all in. But what are some of the things you guys have done to make culture better? Because that's truly what's going to allow any of us to grow our business, is having a good team with good culture.
Yeah, I think every day we have conversations on how to better our culture. Like that's our thing every day. We're never consistent or sustainably happy with where our culture is. It's always about like not, of course you want to be profitable. Of course you want those things, but it's always like, how does our company become better? How can we give back to the employees? I credit a lot of it to the two owners I have now, but they have to remind me a lot of times like, hey, do something for this person, take care of this person. We've had some few instances this week, like a girl, she had some, she was a great crew leader of ours, pulled us through a lot of the hurricanes. She thought she was going to have to leave work and go take care of her sick son. And, I saw this paper come across my desk that said that, hey, she had to quit. She had to move on. I said, whoa, why don't we just pay her 40 hours and get her paid until she's better? And she'll want to come back immediately. And she did. Like, she'll be back next Monday. So like, it's stuff like that. Instead of just writing an employee off, we did a food truck for the guys yesterday. I think I told you, we do a snow cone truck for the crews every Thursday. It's a freaking minute cost for the rewards you get for your employees to be able to do that stuff. But I think, just creating the people, getting rid of the bad cancer. Like, I can't promote that enough. Like a person can feel when they come in an interview with you, if there's bad juju in there, man. We had this guy started this week. He moved from St. Louis. I was kind of upset with him because he didn't know who Andy Frisella was, but he moved. Yeah, he moved from St. Louis and started with us. And he told us after he started, he took a huge pay cut to work with us over two companies near us, took less money to come work in the field with us instead of being a manager because of the culture he felt when he walked into our office. And I think that's just because the personality traits you have in the office. How do you treat the play? How's your office look? Like, what are you doing? And a lot of it has to do with like hiring great leaders, you being a great leader, but making sure that you're leading from the floor level, not up top. Like, how do you get in the field and ask the guys how they're doing? Walker, I have 160 employees, and I damn sure try to remember every one of their names when I walk around the office. I shake their hands every single morning, which is probably why I'm sick right now. But it's, I try to continue doing that because that's all they care about, man. You care about their families. You ask them how they're doing. You go above and beyond of just like yelling at them all the time and ask them about, why can't they do the job faster? And that's how you're going to create a better culture.
You're right. It's about the little things, and it's crazy. I get when you're starting off, it can be really hard, especially if you're starting off like at ground zero and you're really just getting rolling in business and money is really tight and it's scary. But those decisions, I see the decisions people make in a business that's had years to become somewhat established and make better versus worse decisions. And you talked about the hurricane, and I think right back to when the hurricane hit, our immediate deal is we're going to get back to working as soon as possible. But number one, who on our team is going to need help? So that was the first thing. If anybody needs help to clear their property, let us know. When we get rolling, we'll go to your house first, and then before we even get back to like working in the community. And the other thing that happened is there was multiple days without getting paid, and certain people that couldn't come back because they had to clear off their house for days, and so on and so forth. And we had all this rain and stuff leading into it. And I listened to, we've got some employees from another company, and it was so funny to hear them say that like they got like fronted the money, so they got some pay for that time, but it was just money to get them by, and they had to like pay it back or something crazy like that. It was weird.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just thinking, I'm like, that right there's a story of why people don't like working at that place, versus me. I was just like, hey, I let everybody know, like immediately, everybody's getting 40 hours. It's everybody's getting full time, whether you worked or not. And then we'll start working right after that. And if you need any kind of additional help, because we were even back to our team, I went to Miami and I was bringing stuff back. Like we were calling our team and saying, do you need diapers? Do you need water?
I remember that.
Yeah. Food? And, and we're bringing stuff back for anybody who wanted to pick stuff up at our office as well. And ultimately, like, it was only a couple of days that people were getting paid. And the fact that people would not do that, or they'd want the money back, whatever. I don't even understand what that was. It changes things so much, the dynamic of how people feel like this place cares.
Yeah, it's when you stop thinking about the dollar and start thinking about your employee, like it's tenfold, man. They start thinking more for you, which in return they're going to do a better job for you, which means the money's going to come back anyways, and plentiful more.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, you hear some of the horror stories from other companies. Like I've got great leaders on our team, and I ask all the time, I ask him all the time, like, hey, what did the other company do to you, man? Like, you're the best person I've ever had working for me. What did and you can see him tear up a little bit when I say that. And it's like, people don't take the time to sit down and listen and talk to them and get on that friendship level instead of just treating them like another number in the book, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and just simple as appreciating people, just like when people leave, and if I see them in the office, I love how you said shaking everybody's hand as much as you can, uh, other than the sick part, which, it's going to happen either way. I know when people come in here and they're leaving, or I see them in the parking lot, I've always, and I don't know where I got this from. I think it was from Brad, who you met, but like always, thank you so much for today. I appreciate you, it's so. People don't think enough, and especially as business owners or higher up management, you get so wrapped up in how busy you are, and you don't think like these small little acts of kindness, how much people appreciate those things.
We save their birthdays down. Like, when they fill out their application, we send it out to every manager that we have, like save their birthday, walk up and tell them happy birthday. You'd be surprised that employee walk up and go, what, out of 160 people you knew today was my birthday? Like just little stuff like that. Cause you don't know what kind of day they're having and nobody else has told them that morning,
Yeah, we had when Jess is gone, we're not as good at it. So we missed one this week, but luckily everybody knew it was his birthday. So I'm sitting here and everybody's walking in and they're singing happy birthday to the guy that's walking in that's birthday. I knew it was his birthday, but what we are, and it's going to be much harder when there's a lot of people, we're really good about getting the card that everybody signs. So
that's awesome.
Cards that everybody's signing, we're giving that for their birthday. And then we also, here again, it's just the little things. Like you said, just saying happy birthday is big, but like that, we've taken that other deal of, how heavy we try to be on social media. There's always an announcement for the day. All those dates are saved in the calendar, and marketing's posting a happy birthday post every time it's someone's birthday as well, just so they get all that recognition. In your guys, and I keep thinking of these things that relate to culture and these questions I've got for you. I know some of the fun things like the ice cream truck or snow cone truck, but what are some of the things you do to celebrate wins or hey, we hit this big goal, or like throughout the company?
Yeah, and we mentioned a little bit about a GROW Comm, but a huge cost to our company is safety, right? Like if you're not being safe, one, it's a huge cost you're going to incur, but two, employee might not make it home today. Thank God we haven't had one of those, but you never know. So what we do, and we're about to have it come up in a couple of weeks, is we have this thing called Safety Day every year. So we reward our employees on having a safe year. They get a prize if they hit a certain metric. But even if they didn't hit that metric, we still celebrate the safety. So we use this huge party. We get a tent, we get it catered, we give away a bunch of gifts. Every year our owners give away like a really cool grand prize that may be 5 days vacation here. It may be, one year we did a year's worth of groceries paid for an employee.
Wow.
But we just kind of, yeah. We want to get to a point where we're giving away trucks again. My owner's got some other cool ideas coming up too to make dreams come true. But it's just like those ever things, like how do you pay back? And the safety day is really huge for us. I'd say that's probably the best thing. And then we'll do like games with them and give out gift cards. And I honestly took a book out of your page that I really like that scoring thing you did. I brought it back to all my managers and said, we're doing this. I thought that was pretty cool.
In your company, what kind of CRM or what do you use to schedule? For us, we use Service Autopilot, and it's a CRM and billing and estimating and everything. And that's what allows us to keep track of that point scale, because every employee in there has a point, and it's all on like a 90-day calendar where like, if you have something bad happen, well, in 90 days that falls off. Do you guys have something in place as far as a CRM?
Obviously, as being as large as we are, it gets a little bit more difficult. We use a thing called Smart Sheets, which is just an Excel online shared program that you can use. We use a thing called Safety Strikes. So like if an employee is out in the field and they don't have their safety vest on, they don't have their glasses on, we'll do a safety strike and write it down. We'll do near misses. We'll do stuff like that. I don't think we do enough to, hey, this person did a good job, let's track this. And that's why I like your tracking program, because it's all, I had to talk with my guys the other day. I was like, we can't swing the pendulum so far to the point where it's just nothing but discipline. Like we've got to come up with a way that we're swinging the pendulum back, and it's like, okay, you're rewarded for this, you're doing this. So like I think a lot of the stuff we do is like, hey, I saw him doing a good job or her doing a good job, here's some gift cards. No, what can we do to point and score it? And we've done some stuff that's like QQE, quality inspections, where we'll go out in the job, we'll score it out. We'll show it out in front of everybody. Whoever had the best cruise quality inspections that week or that month will get gift cards. We need to do a lot better job at that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we got to get back to a point where, like I said, I stole that from you, the scoring of when you're doing good too, not just when you're doing bad.
Yeah. And that's so easy because you look at all the problems and you're like, okay, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that. And it ends up being all negative. And you're not trying to make it all negative, but you're like, hey, I want to fix these issues. And it's really easy to stack so much of that stuff up. That's where we had to try to get creative with it and think, what are some of the good things? We even had it where we wanted to make it easy enough to where if someone had screwed up their points system or points, because that takes away from them being able to get promoted and takes away from bonuses and things like that. We wanted them to also be able to work towards and get creative about making those points back, because I like the idea of someone, I don't know if we do it in Florida, but in Illinois, they had the idea of like, if anybody at the end of the day has anything like equipment left in the back of the truck or something that's not done right or not cleaned up, or they basically didn't follow protocol of what was supposed to be done. And instead of them getting the write up, another employee comes, fix it, holds them accountable and takes care of it for them. And then that alone was a points thing. Like it kept the one person from getting in trouble, and it was a positive for them because they held them accountable and made sure it was fixed overall for the company. And that was like because nobody's thinking about anybody else a lot of times. You get done at the end of the day and you're like, I'm going to clean up my truck. I'm going to get the heck out of here. So that's another step above. I see this truck has a blower, a this, or that left in it. It's not supposed to be, or whatever it is in your company. I'm going to take care of that. And I'm going to note that down, and just for something to go over, it saves it. It was things that we had to start getting creative, because it's so easy, like you said, to swing the pendulum one way and not swing it the other way.
That's awesome, man. You're creating culture just by doing that, because now you're teaching the guys, like, don't walk by that trash, pick it up. Like, so, oh wait, I get awarded by doing that, and then it'll just become this mental thing where they just do it every day. There's another one I'm steal from you.
Well, that sounds like when you look at it that way, it reminds me of the Andy Priscilla deal of the bathroom. Yeah, I've taken that to personal heart. I'm in our own bathroom at our office, like picking up paper off the floor, throwing it away. Like, okay, now I really got to wash my hands when I walk out of here, because I'm like warring through all this nasty stuff. But that whole personal excellence thing, and yeah, if you could embody that in the team, and then by giving people a thumbs up for it every time they do something, push that even more. I think that you made me feel even better about that than we already felt. So we're going to for sure make sure that's going on in Florida as well.
Heck yeah. I was in a bathroom the other day, and I had Andy Frisella yelling at me in my head. I ended up changing a toilet paper roll, and I didn't even use the toilet paper. It wasn't even my bathroom. I was like, this toilet paper is empty. Let me change this. We're like, what in the world? Yeah. Like, just that mindset you got to fix,
For sure. Well, so you've been doing this for a while. I'm sure you've seen a lot of stuff, and with the amount of employees you've had, or you've been in contact with through everything, like what's one of, what's one of the biggest mistakes you've made doing all this? And then what's one of the biggest, like most memorable mistakes you've seen from an employee out in the field?
Oh man. I'd say just a character mistake of myself is just trying to correct everything myself and being that person that does everything and wants to touch everything. And the first 3 years, even when I started this branch, is like I had to be that person. It started setting the customer's mindset of I need to go to Justin for this, or I need to do this for this. And it wasn't until like last year that I hired 2 really good leaders and learned to delegate and get that off my plate, that my life didn't change. So that was a huge mistake on my part for the first 3 years, is just trying to be that guy, that superhero, that best person out there, because honestly 90% of the time the person you hire is going to do it better than you anyways, so just get out of their way. That was a big thing on my side. The employee thing, I'm gonna have to think about that on the mistakes doing that. That's a good question.
Okay, or maybe, because I would have a hard time thinking about biggest employee mistake, but if you ask me biggest employee issue, I could probably easily give you an answer for that, because those mistakes, they happen all day. The things where, we've had an employee issue where we're getting sued or some crazy thing happening, or, those stick out to you a little bit more, I think. So maybe if that makes it easier, if not, we can just keep rolling.
Issues, we get into this, this mindset. It's easy to, when you become the best, you are the best. It's easy for that to go to your head really fast. And we get to this point where you start telling the customer what to do. And that I had to correct a lot of that in the last year. Like, I think that's some stuff we're still a customer service business. We just happen to mow your lawn as our product. And I've had to fix a lot of that. Like, you get to a point where you're like, no, customer, this is how you do things. Like, no, that's not what we're here for. There's a way that we can direct them and help them and give them the best long-term solution. But at the end of the day, the customer, it's our first letter in our acronym. So you got to find a way to fix that attitude, change back, and help them. And because at the end of the day, like when you start working with your customer as a partner instead of push back and push back and push back, then one, it's going to make your life a lot easier, and two, you're going to end up getting more work out of that anyway. So that's been huge lately, is I think it got to your head when you become the best. You got to learn to get humble and remember the reason why you're here.
And that, I feel like that's going to roll right into what I was about to ask is, what year did your location start?
So February this year will be our 5th year. So 2018 February.
Okay, so 5 years. What do you think this is the secret sauce for growing so fast in a 5 years time span?
I mean, I've always been even prior to this, I've always been like don't look at the numbers, grow, 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 grow. Like, I kind of get joked that I'm the used car salesman, which I can't stand. My owner said the other day he was going to let the monkey out of the cage and let me sell it again. But it's I don't know, man. I just have such a personality trait. And when you learn to work with customers as a partner, as I just said, and you don't go after every single partner out there. You get 3 to 5, and you learn how to really work with them and be a partner, a long-term partner, long-term solutions, even if they're not buying anything. I was going on jobs we didn't even have, and like, how do we help you on this one? How do we give you some information that's going to help you with your current contractor? And I think that was huge. They learned to trust you, and then they want to bring you everywhere. And there's some customers that we've gotten with or work with and partner with that now we write their budget. We work with them. We're there long term. So I think that was the biggest thing, is like, find the key core customers you want to work with and just focus on that. I hired a salesperson going on her 3rd year, and she hasn't sold a job, and I'm completely happy with that. She's completely committed to just working with our current customers. And I think that's been big, is a lot of our landscape competition, a lot of the different industries competition is so worried about that next dollar and could care less about retention. But retention is where the money is, man, and retention is where the growth is, and that's a key factor.
Well, I think that's always been something for us. I know that we don't do half as much commercial stuff as you guys do, but our industry doesn't really seem to focus. And I think, well, I wouldn't really sum it up to just like lawn and landscape. The service industry in general doesn't really focus that much on customer service. It doesn't really focus that much on doing what you're saying, really being there, being the partner, being the person you can always get a hold of, so the person can have their problems fixed. And I know that that's been a thing that has completely differentiated us from a lot of other people, because we've always been real office heavy and have people there to answer questions and make sure stuff's getting taken care of. And yes, it is very easy to be like, okay, let's keep growing, let's get new clients. But it's so much easier to once you start building the base, just continue adding. Like, if they already love what you're saying, exactly. If they already love working with you, just start doing more and more stuff with them. Because a lot of times, if you're already taking care of them, even making suggestions of the things they need, they just look like a lot of times we'll have people think that employees, especially out in the field, when we're asking them to note down in their tablets other things these properties need, they'll think that we're just, oh man, I feel like I'm just selling and selling and selling to people. But a lot of times that's what they want. They want you to, hey, you don't have to buy this, but did you know this, this, and this on your property could be done? Yes, would you like it? No, would you not like it? And now you're serving them even better,
Yeah, one of my mentors, he's one of my owners now, is like, he's always hit home with this, and it's what I've used, is you're not selling them just to sell a dollar, you're selling them a solution. Like, what we always talk about, like, our competitors go in and they see this front entrance as an opportunity to sell. They even call them opportunities, which drives me nuts, but they go in there and they just sell. And it's like, no, like, what's the real problem? Are they having a drainage issue? Can we fix this like a 10-year plan? Like, we don't want to just beautify it today and be gone tomorrow. No, like, we want to find out, like, how do we fix this long term for the customer? And there's been projects we've lost money on, but we wanted the right thing for the customer at the end of the day, and we wanted to walk away from the project knowing we did it ethically, we did it right, they were happy, and at the end of the day, that's turned into tenfold the sales that it should have been, just because of we didn't walk away from a project until it was 100% done. And that's been instilled in me for 15 years, and it's by one of my coworkers I work with now to this day, is like, we don't walk away from that. Like, no, dude, was it done right? Like, I think that's been huge.
With you saying that, it makes me want to ask you a question. And I believe I got this from a Tony Robbins conference at some point. That sounds right. There's 3 people in a business, right? There's, as business owners or whatever. There's the artist, there is the manager, and there's the entrepreneur. Okay. So what would because like an artist, a lot of times will lose money based on they want it to be beautiful. The entrepreneur a lot of times will be, So focused on the numbers that it's all about getting it done, and maybe is that probably rubs the artist the wrong way. And then the manager is actually good at actually managing the people and getting things done. Who would you consider yourself in your guys' company?
It's funny. So I'm reading E-Myth right now. Have you read that one?
Or which one
Yes,
are
I'm
you
reading
reading?
that
You reading the Landscaper edition or the original?
the original. So I'm reading that, and it's been on my wife's nightstand forever. And I don't know how I have it. I've read every other book. How have I not read this one? It talks about being the manager, the technician, the entrepreneur. And I was joking with one of my coworkers the other day because, yeah, I'm really good at starting a bunch of projects, getting them all going, and then going on to the next one, kicking the ball, letting it roll. And then, they got to come and like really structure it and focus me down on the money. So I'd say I'm more on the entrepreneur when it comes to the E-Myth side, because I really want to I'm so focused on like just doing the right thing, making that beautiful project and doing, seeing the right thing before I leave. And I don't know, there's got to be somebody that comes behind me and looks at the numbers. I didn't focus on the numbers for the first 2 years, which is probably not the right thing to do. But I think when you get dialed into that, you just go the wrong way. So I'd say if you look at the E-Myth side, I'm more of the entrepreneur and want to start and do the best product out there.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Almost kind of might lend to tech a little bit though, because in E-Myth, do they say the entrepreneur is very, very numbers focused, or is it like more like the artist or the tech where it's very, very service focused?
The tech is very service focused. So they're the one that wants to do everything. And I'll say I'm shifting from a technician. I wanted to be that person that touched everything, that didn't want anybody else to do it, and shifting from that tech to that entrepreneur, because I need to hire the people to go do that technician portion and trust that they can do that stuff and get managers that can run them and lead them better than I ever could. And I think that's been my huge, leap in growth this last 2 years, I'd say.
That's awesome. Just hearing you say what you say though, like you make me feel guilty because you're talking, I want projects to be great and I want everything to be solved, but I just see the world and it's not dollar symbols. It's just like the world is math. Like this has to be equal. It's like my life's a balance sheet. You know what I mean? Like when I look at business, like I knew that I never really cared about what the business was. It could be anything. I like business. And I really always get envious when I hear people talking. Like I love when a client is happy and I love when they're satisfied. It's never about, I want to do a half-assed job, but when you have that true, like that craftsman desire to be doing the right thing, making sure it's perfect. Not that I don't have some of that in me, but just hearing you say that with so much passion that I'm like, man, I wish I had a little more of that passion for those things. And I wish I wasn't so disconnected towards numbers and making sure that the bottom line is we've got to have the bottom line to grow a good team, because my whole focus on is you grow that good team and you make sure you focus on the numbers, the team will hopefully service everybody.
You got to have both, man. Like you got to have that yin and that yang. I mean, you got to have your personality and my personality, because if not, like I can go paint pretty pictures all day long, but if we don't have any money to take care of the people, we're going to have no culture. So, we talk about that every day right now. Like we're in that we're going into that adolescent stage, into that next stage of business. And we're at that point now. It's like, okay, we got to start focusing on profit a little bit. And the only reason for that is because we want to be able to do those huge parties. Like you see the Summer Smash from Andy, like we want to be able to do that.
That sounds awesome.
But it costs money to do, and if you're not making profit, you can't do that stuff. So it's like we're driven different on profit. I think you get all these companies that are so profit driven because they want to get an acquisition or they want to sell. No, we want to get more profit so we can get back to the people that helped us do it. So like I think that's why we're focused on it now, and I'm shifting more towards that. But there's that other yin to me in my office that helps me shift towards that. And because if I didn't have them, our numbers would be, hey, Justin's out painting pictures, and it doesn't
I love that. I think what you're saying, that's why I like it. That goes in line with, I don't care about getting acquired. Would I want the value of the company to be better? Yeah. I mean, I think everybody should think about, is their company valuable? But just like you said, for me, like, that's why I like correlating the company to a sports team. Sports teams aren't trying to kick ass so they can sell. They're trying to kick ass so everyone will celebrate in victory. And the team that wins the most gets all the money and gets all the accolades and gets all the things. And that's how I have kind of looked at business, especially in the last couple of years, and relate that back to new team members. This is how we're doing this. We're out to win, so then we can go do those things. I love your ideas of the different thing, like getting to like a truck giveaway standpoint or having these big parties. Like I love that stuff, because we just started transitioning really from Andy Frisella stuff to doing like a a monthly giveaway so a couple can go on a nice dinner, because in Illinois, $150 dinner is a nice dinner for a couple. I mean, that's a pretty decent dinner anywhere. And unless maybe not if you're in Miami, we started doing that for the guys so they could do something. And then this year was the first year where we did both locations. They had a $1,500 weekend giveaway, like basically where it was like enough to fly you somewhere and get you a hotel where you could go do something with your wife for fun for a weekend. And I just hearing you say all these bigger things, that's like half my reason to want to grow. It's not like, obviously everybody's going to make more money. The owner's going to make more money. Management's going to make more money. Everybody wants to do that, but so much more exciting is the cool shit we get to do.
It's crazy, man. If you hear about, like, if you ask any one of the branch managers at my company, it's like, why are y'all, you're pretty big. Like, what's your goals? What's your goals? And we're like, our goals would be like 10 times less the size of this. We were having a lot of fun. There was a couple of us, but at the same point, you hire these really good leaders, and it's like, if you don't grow and give them the opportunity, then they're going to leave. So there's another reason you got to go grow and drive that bottom line, so you can attract really good people and you can keep them on the team. So that's been huge too. So it's all about, like, you got the same mindset, like you different scale, but you got the same mindset, like, and we just got to that point where we can start doing stuff like that. We're still nowhere near some of the dreams we have. Like, there's such cool, I don't want to spill the beans, but I just got some really cool ideas about, like, just how to take care of people and, like, just make dreams come true for them. And it's so different and that's what drives the culture. When you hear ownership talk about that, it's not, you go to some companies, you even watch movies and all this stuff, but it's like, you watch some of the stuff and it's, like, we got to make bottom dollar, so he gets this or he gets that, and it's no. I used to work for the owner one time, and he would look at all the financial reports and he'd just say, nope, cut hours this week, we didn't get what we need to, nope, we didn't. It's like totally different, when the culture was terrible. And now it's like, okay, man, what can we do to drive some sales and get some of this so we can give back to this? And, like, it's just such a happier place to be.
I had someone in my office and I was telling her how much I appreciate her and how much she's kicking ass earlier this week, and just kind of checking in on her. And she's saying how she's doing door hangers and talking to clients around jobs, and, just trying to help you make this, like, it was kind of like, I always really correct people real quick when they are saying, like, I'm trying to help you grow your business. And it's like, no, dude, I love you. You're awesome. I got you in here telling you how much I appreciate you. You handing that door hanger out, getting more work, is helping us all grow a business. You did that as much for you as you did for me. Maybe for some other employers, you did it for them. For here, you're doing it for all of us. This is not a me thing. Like, this is way more about a bigger deal than me. So I love hearing that from you. And then that's even at the size where you guys are at as a whole, that you guys are embodying that and keep pushing that forward. What do you think, since you say that, you'd like to be a lot smaller, what do you think the 5-year, 10-year, obviously, you probably don't have all those things exactly set in stone, but how big is this thing going to get?
I'd be happy with the size we're at. We're able to keep being able to drive the number down to the bottom line. We're at that line now that we've created a lot of opportunity for really good people. And how do we get to where it's continued to be a fun place to work? It's safe for every single day that they come in, and we continue to drive the bottom dollar down. Like, if we slowly, steady start growing, our first 5 years, we were going 300% year on year. If we can get to where we're 15%, 20% and sustainable, like, it's a much funner place to work. So, like, if we can we don't even focus on growth. It's kind of funny. I used to have that mindset, and we'd sit there and we'd look at a map, and I'd ask the two guys that own, like, hey, where are we going to be? I don't have a plan. Stop thinking like that. No, it needs to be like, how are we going to fix what we're doing? And so, like, I think that's the biggest thing is I don't even look at that. Like, I'd be completely happy if we hit the same revenue every year and we learned how to be more profitable at it and kept the same people on board, because that's where it becomes fun, is you got the same faces every year when you're growing, and you got new faces and you're turning and you're burning, and, like, you just, it's not fun. And so, like, if we could just get to a point where you're at a large size that's sustainable enough, you made a name for yourself, and you're big enough to be able to do those big things, I think that's what the goal is.
Yeah. And then obviously, like you said, just have real slow metered growth then. So it's nothing astronomical, because it feels like, just like business even now, it seems like once you get started going, unless you're actively trying to, okay, we got to, like, drop stuff and keep it at this plane, it's going to grow some, unless you're just doing everything wrong.
And I think there's some strategic growth you can start having at this level. There's some parts where you can start growing with the right customer. You can grow in the right type of work that you want to do. You start getting to that point now where you're like, okay, you know what? We've made a name for ourselves. We want to work with the customer that want to work for us. We don't need to take every dime, every dollar, and every job. Now we get to a point where like, okay, we know the jobs we're going to take on aren't going to burn out our managers. We know that they're good type of work that we want to see our name on. So yeah, for sure, definitely want to keep the growth going, but more strategic
Yeah.
growth.
And it's so funny that you say that, because a lot of people you'll chase around everybody trying to do a job. And if you got your prices set with the way that they are, like what we realize, it's like you only end up closing, for us anyway, we close like 30% of the projects we look at. And I have always felt like that's a really good number, because when you start getting 50 and 60, it's like you must have cheap products, or cheap. There are so many people are buying that the service must have a much lower cost point. And when we've drove it into that 30%, it always seemed to be the people that we've really enjoyed working with, and we're not fighting it as much. It's so crazy that you start raising prices and you start having better people you deal with, because you're not getting everything coming in. That's been a big thing in our company, kind of like what you said, is then now how do we, especially for all the landscaping we do, how do we, instead of meeting those whole 10 people to find out that, hey, we're only going to do work with 3, how do we pre-qualify? So then those 3, we can go out and we can they get a thank you card for even putting in an appointment. They get a thank you card after the first time we meet. How do we make it like way freaking better, because we focused on the 3 instead of all? So it just seems like everybody wants to focus on all just for the sake of growing, when a lot of times you don't even end up doing business with all of them. If you did, you shouldn't want to.
Or if you did, you lost your best customer because you're focusing on that one.
Yeah. Oh man, that's probably the worst thing. I think back to me getting married. The day I'm getting married, I had a client calling me, screaming at me. And it's somebody that we just always tried to do the best for. She loved us. And I just remember, like, this is taking up so much of my bandwidth, and I'm not doing good at that. I'm not who I should be on my wedding day. I am probably dropping the ball when this is happening in normal work. And that's when we finally ended the relationship right there. I said, I think this is going to be the last day that we're going to be able to do service for you. We're going to have to part ways. Dude, thank you so much for coming on here today. I really enjoyed talking about it. I loved learning the actual meaning of the name. I can't believe I've talked to you so much, and I didn't know that yet.
Good, man. I'm honored for you to have me here, and I'm always welcome to help you and speak at any one of these. And I mean, I learned, again, like, for those that are scared to talk and scared, I can't stand, I'm not an outgoing person. So for those that don't want to get on and talk and learn and grow part of these GROW Comms and meet these people, like, you're never going to grow yourself. And if you don't get out there and you meet these people, because I can guarantee you there's somebody out there that has a skill that you don't have. And again, like I've said it multiple times in this podcast, Jacob's got these skills that I don't have. His business is doing things we're not doing. So we're trading secrets here already. Like, you may have me on the podcast, but I've learned so much from him just being on these. So get on, get involved, grow your culture, and grow your environment.
Yeah, man. Awesome words. I appreciate that so much. And thank you so much again for being on here today. Everybody, thanks for listening.